You saw it as it happened this morning at CFB Trenton, the second Canadian plane carrying evacuees from the coronavirus outbreak zone landing at home. 185 people airlifted out on that chartered flight, and they are now all being processed, heading into quarantine on base for the next 14 days. Laura McQuillan has been covering this for us, checking in hour by hour, as I mentioned. So there they are landing, Laura. We know from the first flight on Friday that there's processing and then testing. What are they going to be experiencing today?
Well, Heather, we know that once they've cleared customs, they can finally settle into their rooms there, and they're going to be staying at a place called Hastings Hall, which is at CFB Trenton, but it's a little bit different to where the other Canadian arrivals have been staying. That is Hastings Hall. You see it in front of you, but when you look inside, you'll see that the accommodation is a little bit more Spartan than the motel rooms where others have been staying. Now, that's because there's not enough accommodation in Yukon Lodge for everybody, so they have had to make some upgrades to Hastings Hall for the new arrivals. It is a heritage building, which means that not that much can be done, but we did get some details from Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam.
Hastings Hall is not as modern as Yukon Lodge. However, we are taking steps to ensure that the returning Canadians are as comfortable as possible, including through the addition of Wi-Fi. While each room in Hastings Hall has a sink, washrooms are shared and will be cleaned on a high-frequency basis to ensure that all quarantine protocols are followed.
And those quarantine protocols mean 14 days on that base, Heather, just like those other Canadians who arrived a few days ago, now 4 days into their quarantine. The latest arrivals coming in this morning that will be asked to stay in their rooms, but they will get some outdoor time to get out in the snow, get some fresh air. They're going to be able to walk around. They can talk to other people, but they have to remain 2 meters apart from anyone who's not part of their family, and they have to wear face masks, wash their hands frequently once they get back inside. You heard a bit about the cleaning there because, of course, shared bathrooms means so much more risk of someone falling sick, but we did hear from Dr. Tam yesterday that no one who has arrived home has shown any symptoms of coronavirus. What we do know is that 185 people on this flight, but there were some 236 wanting to get out. So that's a 51-person difference. We don't know what happened to those other Canadians. Was there a reason they couldn't make the flight? Were there simply too many people for this flight? Now, I've reached out to Global Affairs, still waiting to hear back on that, but hopefully those Canadians who have made it home can finally get some sleep, Heather.
Laura, thank you. And Laura, just as you've been talking underway, some pictures to share. Thank you, Laura McQuillan, for all of that. We've been following the story of Monty Gisborne, his wife, Daniela, and their 9-year-old daughter, Dominica, had been in Wuhan. They went for holidays just before the lockdown occurred, and they were having trouble getting back home, obviously. He didn't even know that they were getting on this second flight, but based on these pictures, he knows that they did. And they're, in fact, back home. We've just been communicating with him. He wrote us a note saying, yes, it's a very happy day. The China dolls are back in Canada, as he wrote to us, and sent these pictures. So here's what's going on in Trenton as his wife and daughter go through all the processing before they head into quarantine, as Laura was just mentioning. So again, they had gone to Wuhan. They were holed up in an apartment for 2 weeks. They were afraid to go out, very grateful to be on that flight. I know they were grateful because they've also written a thank you note, and Monty Gisborne sent us a picture of the thank you note. So let me show it there. I'll read you part of it. It's a thank you for bringing us back to safe and beautiful Canada. This is an unforgettable journey. Thanks and thanks and thanks all through this letter for hard work to everybody at home. The food is great. The plane is very clean. Everyone is very patient, very enthusiastic, very professional. Thank you, everyone, again. Give everyone the biggest hug. There you get a sense of the relief at coming home and the happiness at being on that second evacuation plane and back to safety, even if in quarantine, in safety. That from Daniela and Dominica, the wife and child of Monty Gisborne.